The Season 3 first look doesn't show explosions or chaos. It shows something worse. Calm decisions with permanent consequences. A quiet understanding that the rules Tommy lived by no longer protect him. Because this time, the threat isn't the market, the land, or even his rivals. It's the realization that every win he's chasing may already belong to someone else. And once you see who's really standing behind him now, you understand something unsettling. This isn't a comeback story. This is the moment Landman crosses a line it can't step back from. Tommy Norris appears composed, deliberate, and once again positioned where power seems to favor him. Deals are moving, operations are steady, the oil keeps flowing. From the outside, it looks like Tommy is winning again. But Landman has never been interested in surface victories. It has always been about what those victories cost when no one is watching. Season 3 presents Tommy at a crossroads disguised as success. The title of this chapter in his life could easily be mistaken for stability. He has survived market collapses, political pressure, corporate warfare, and personal loss. Each season has tested his ability to adapt without breaking. And now, according to the first look, he has done what he always does. He has found a way forward. But the difference this time is subtle and deeply unsettling. The way forward no longer belongs entirely to him. The trailer frames Tommy not as a man scrambling to survive, but as one who has already made his choice. His posture is calm, his language is precise. There is no panic in his movements. That calm is not confidence, it is acceptance. Acceptance that the oil business he once understood has evolved into something darker, more complicated, and far less forgiving. Tommy is no longer navigating the system. He is operating within forces that do not recognize exits. What makes this first look so effective is how restrained it is. There is no exposition explaining what went wrong, no dramatic monologue spelling out the danger. Instead, the trailer allows small details to do the work. Conversations that feel heavier than they should, silences that last just a moment too long, the absence of reassurance where it once existed. These choices signal that Tommy's latest win is not clean, it is compromised. And in Landman, compromise is never temporary. The oil drama at the center of Season 3 is not about production numbers or land disputes. It is about ownership of consequence. Tommy may still run the operations, but control is no longer measured by who signs the paperwork. It is measured by who can enforce outcomes when things go wrong. And the first look makes it clear that enforcement now comes from somewhere else. This is where Landman sharpens its focus. The show has always understood that power in the oil world is layered. Corporate authority sits on top, but beneath it are informal agreements, pressure points, and relationships that never appear in reports. Season 3 suggests those hidden layers are no longer hidden. They are active, present, and fully integrated into the business Tommy helped build. What's striking is how little resistance we see from Tommy. There is no visible struggle against this new reality. That absence is intentional. It tells us that this didn't happen overnight. This was not a single bad decision. This was a slow erosion of boundaries, a series of choices justified as necessary, practical, unavoidable. The first look positions Tommy as someone who believes he is still protecting what matters, even if the methods have changed. And that belief is what makes the situation so dangerous. Landman has always explored the idea that survival in this industry requires moral flexibility. But Season 3 pushes that idea further. It asks what happens when flexibility turns into dependence, when survival is no longer about staying afloat, but about staying aligned with forces that do not share your values, your limits, or your sense of responsibility. The oil drama hinted at in the trailer is not loud, but it is suffocating. Every scene carries the weight of something unspoken. Every interaction feels transactional in ways that extend beyond money. The land is still there. The rigs still pump. The roads still stretch endlessly across West Texas. But the meaning of all of it has changed. The land is no longer just a resource. It is leverage. And leverage, once introduced, never disappears. What Season 3 makes clear is that Tommy's wins have attracted attention from forces that do not operate by the same rules he has spent his career mastering. These are not competitors trying to outbid him or regulators trying to slow him down. These are entities that see oil not as a business, but as a mechanism, a way to move money, control territory, and establish dominance without visibility. And once that mechanism becomes useful, Walking away is no longer an option. The brilliance of the first look lies in what it refuses to explain. We are not given a clear origin point for this new dynamic. There is no single moment shown where Tommy crosses a line. Instead, the trailer suggests inevitability, as if this outcome was always embedded in the system itself. Oil attracts influence, influence attracts exploitation, and exploitation eventually demands loyalty. Tommy's behavior reflects this reality. He is more guarded now, less expressive. His words are chosen carefully, not just for meaning, but for safety. This is not the confidence of a man in control. It is the discipline of someone who understands that saying the wrong thing can carry consequences far beyond embarrassment or loss. In Season 3, language becomes a survival tool. The oil drama unfolding here is not about sudden collapse, it is about slow absorption. The kind that happens when external power integrates itself into everyday operations until it no longer feels external at all. Meetings continue, work continues, decisions are made. But the margin for error disappears. Every choice carries unseen weight. Every agreement implies obligations that cannot be renegotiated. This is where Landman elevates its storytelling. It doesn't frame this power shift as villainous in a conventional sense. There are no clear antagonists stepping into the light. Instead, there is a system expanding to fill every available space. A system that rewards compliance and punishes resistance without ever needing to explain itself. And Tommy, whether he admits it or not, understands this system intimately now. The first look also hints at how this shift affects the people around him. Those who once relied on Tommy's judgment now rely on his restraint. His ability to keep situations contained. His ability to absorb pressure without letting it spill outward. This makes him more isolated than ever. Leadership becomes loneliness when information cannot be shared and trust becomes selective. What's unsettling is how normalized this all appears. No one panics, no one runs. The world adapts. That adaptation is the real warning embedded in the trailer. Because when dangerous systems become normal, they become permanent. And Season 3 suggests that permanence has already taken root. The oil fields remain unchanged on the surface, but the social terrain has shifted beneath them. Alliances are no longer built on mutual benefit alone. They are enforced through implication, through the understanding that refusing to cooperate is not a neutral act. It is a provocation, and provocation in this world has consequences that extend beyond business. Tommy's wins now exist inside this framework. Every success strengthens the system that contains him. Every step forward tightens the boundaries around his freedom. The trailer does not tell us whether Tommy sees this as a trap or a trade-off. It simply shows us that he is still moving forward, even as the space around him narrows. The consequences of Tommy Norris's choices do not stop with him. They move outward, quietly attaching themselves to the people closest to him. Season 3 makes it clear that power is not the only thing being passed down. Responsibility is, and so is risk. Cooper Norris stands at the center of this unspoken inheritance. The trailer does not present him as reckless or naive. It presents him as aware, but not fully informed. He understands the pressure of the oil world. He understands ambition, competition, and sacrifice. What he does not yet fully understand is the price of proximity to power that cannot be refused. That is the education Season 3 seems prepared to deliver. There is a noticeable shift in how Cooper is framed. He is no longer simply learning the business. He is being positioned within it. The looks he receives carry expectation. The silences around him suggest withheld information. This is how inheritance works in Landman. Not through speeches or formal transitions, but through exposure, through being close enough to feel the weight without being protected from it. Tommy's relationship with Cooper has always been defined by control and protection. He wanted to shield his son from the hardest parts of the industry while still preparing him to survive within it. Season 3 suggests that balance is no longer possible. The world Tommy operates in now does not allow partial involvement. You are either inside the circle or outside of it. And Cooper is drifting closer to the center. This creates a tension that the trailer allows to breathe. There are moments where Cooper appears confident, even eager. He wants to prove himself, to show that he belongs. But that desire now exists alongside an environment that does not offer second chances. The oil drama is no longer about whether Cooper can succeed. It is about what success will require from him and whether he is prepared to pay that cost. The inheritance being passed down is not just operational knowledge or access to resources, it is a way of thinking, a tolerance for moral ambiguity, an understanding that some outcomes matter more than the methods used to achieve them. This mindset has protected Tommy for years, but the trailer suggests it may not protect Cooper in the same way. Different generation, different stakes, different visibility. Season 3 also expands the idea of inheritance beyond family. Everyone in Tommy's orbit inherits something from his decisions. Employees inherit risk, partners inherit exposure, rivals inherit pressure. Even those who try to remain neutral are affected, because neutrality becomes harder to maintain as power consolidates. The trailer hints at this ripple effect without spelling it out, trusting the audience to recognize the pattern. What makes this dynamic compelling is that no one is portrayed as entirely innocent or entirely guilty. Landman resists that simplicity. Cooper is not a victim, but he is not fully equipped. Tommy is not malicious, but he is not unaware. The system they operate within rewards forward motion and punishes hesitation, and that system does not pause for ethical reflection. The first look emphasizes this through pacing. Scenes involving Cooper are quieter, more internal, less about action and more about implication. We are meant to notice what is not said, the advice that stops short, the warnings implied rather than delivered. This is how difficult truths are passed down in this world. Indirectly, carefully, often too late. Season 3 frames inheritance as inevitability rather than choice. Cooper can try to define his own path, but that path exists within boundaries set long before he stepped onto the oil fields. The trailer suggests that the most painful realization awaiting him is not that his father made compromises, but that those compromises may now define the options available to him. Landman has always explored the cost of legacy, but Season 3 sharpens the question. What happens when the thing you inherit is not just opportunity, but obligation? When walking away does not free you but marks you as a liability? The first look does not answer these questions. It simply places Cooper in the middle of them and lets the weight of that placement speak for itself. The inheritance nobody talks about is already being transferred, not through paperwork or titles, but through exposure and expectation. And once that process begins, it rarely stops on its own. The trailer emphasizes subtlety and power. Deals are made without signatures. Decisions are enforced without threats. The audience is left to sense authority not by spectacle, but by implication. Conversations that seem casual are laced with expectation. Every glance, every pause, every carefully measured word signals more than surface meaning. Landman has always excelled at this, letting tension rise not through action, but through presence. The power in the shadows does not announce itself, but its effect is undeniable. Tommy's interactions reflect this tension. He is no longer the man who dictates terms with confidence. He is the man who calculates, measures, and weighs consequences that are not always visible. His victories now exist within a framework that could dissolve them in an instant. The trailer does not depict panic, it depicts awareness, the knowledge that influence can shift without warning, and that loyalty is never absolute. Season 3 suggests that mastery of the visible elements of the oil business is insufficient. Survival requires understanding the invisible. The shadows influence everyone around Tommy, often in ways they don't realize. Cammy Miller, a figure who has built her power on strategic precision, finds her methods tested like never before. Season 3 positions her as an observer and participant simultaneously, forced to navigate a world where intelligence and calculation may not always guarantee safety or advantage. Her presence in the trailer, though understated, signals that influence now comes from subtle leverage, not open confrontation. Other characters experience the shadows differently. Cooper Norris, positioned at the center of the inheritance passed down by his father, senses the weight of unseen forces pressing against him even as he tries to define his own place. Galeno, once a visible power broker, now operates under the same constraints as everyone else. The world Landman portrays is no longer divided into clear lines of authority. Every individual, regardless of experience or ambition, must negotiate within the same invisible boundaries. Season 3 also explores the moral cost of these unseen pressures. The oil business has always demanded compromise, but the trailer suggests a shift from necessary negotiation to unavoidable complicity. Decisions made in private, intended to protect operations, carry ramifications that extend outward into family, employees, and partners. Tommy's legacy becomes a double-edged sword, offering wealth and influence while simultaneously exposing those around him to forces they cannot control. What is remarkable about the first look is its restraint. It does not reveal full allegiances or the extent of the shadow networks at work. Instead, it allows viewers to sense their presence in every frame, the tension in Tommy's posture, the careful wording of conversations, the absence of reassurance in moments that once felt safe. The shadows dictate not through direct action, but through implication, and the audience feels that pressure as clearly as any overt threat. The trailer also emphasizes the passage of time and consequence. West Texas remains vast and unyielding, but its expanses now symbolize both opportunity and danger. The oil fields, the rigs, the endless horizon, they are not just a backdrop, they are a reminder that every decision ripples outward. Success here is never singular. It touches multiple lives and reshapes expectations for everyone involved. Season 3 makes it clear that alliances can no longer be assumed. Tommy's relationships, even with those he trusts most, are now framed against the backdrop of invisible pressures. The trailer hints at subtle conflicts, whispered negotiations, and silent calculations that could undo months or even years of careful planning. In this world, observation is as critical as action, patience is as valuable as force, and understanding the unspoken rules is as important as the contracts on paper. The shadow networks also challenge traditional measures of power. Influence is no longer about titles, land ownership, or operational control. It is about information, leverage, and perception. Those who fail to see beyond what is visible are the first to be caught in the consequences. Season 3 promises to explore this tension deeply, showing that mastery of the tangible aspects of business is meaningless without insight into the invisible forces that dictate outcomes. As the first look concludes, the trailer leaves the audience with a clear message. The true drama of Season 3 lies not in what Tommy controls, but in what controls him. It is a world where calm decisions carry danger, where quiet moments harbor risk, and where survival is measured by perception as much as by skill. The shadows in Landman are not obstacles to overcome. They are a constant presence, shaping the story, the stakes, and the fates of everyone involved.
The narrative stakes extend beyond business. Season 3 confronts legacy in its most profound sense. What does it mean to leave something behind when the structures that sustain it are morally complex, dangerous, and ever-shifting? Tommy's legacy is no longer just the oil fields, the contracts, or the profits. It is the environment he has shaped for everyone around him, the obligations passed to his son, and the moral debts accumulated in pursuit of survival. Landman has always been a story about more than wealth or power. It has been about choices, their consequences, and the burden of knowing that even a single misstep can reverberate endlessly. The trailer also hints at the emotional stakes hidden beneath the business. Moments of reflection, subtle glances, and quiet silences carry as much meaning as the deals being struck. Relationships are strained, trust is fragile, and every alliance carries hidden risk. The world of Season 3 is one where human connection and strategic calculation collide. No victory is purely professional, no loss purely personal. Everything is intertwined, and the first look ensures the audience senses that tension in every frame. As the teaser concludes, the underlying truth is impossible to ignore. Tommy's victories are now inseparable from his compromises. Each win is a reminder of the delicate balance between survival and moral consequence. Every character is positioned to face the unfolding reality that power and success are never free. The oil fields, the rigs, the endless West Texas horizon, they are still beautiful, still vast, but they are now also a canvas for the consequences of choices made in shadow and in silence. Landman Season 3 promises a story where every decision matters, where legacy is both inheritance and burden, and where survival demands more than ambition or intelligence. It demands endurance, judgment, and the courage to face consequences that cannot be avoided. Tommy's wins are no longer simple victories. They are tests, challenges, and warnings for everyone who stands near him. And as fans watch Season 3 unfold, they are invited to witness not just a man navigating the oil business, but a world defined by consequence, power, and human complexity. To feel the weight of every choice. To question what they would do if they were in his place. To understand that in Landman, the stakes are never limited to money. They are life, loyalty, and legacy. If you follow Tommy Norris this far, this season will challenge everything you think you know about him and the world he inhabits.